Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lady Leadership Podcast. My name's Sam McIntyre. I'm your host. Today, I have the very stylish Lucy Owens on the show. Now, she has business which is called Style Rises, and she helps female leaders 35 plus elevate their personal brand and presence through style and create their signature style. Welcome to the show, Lucy.
Thanks so much, Sam. Great to be here.
Now, I did say this before the show started, but I did actually, as I was interviewing you, I thought I better go and put on a jacket today and look a little bit smarter. I am a lover of a red lip. I don't have a red lip on today. And I did, through COVID, pretty much every day wear red lipstick, just because it mentally put me in the right place, made me feel as I was actually going somewhere. And yeah, so let's dig into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me about your business.
Yeah, great. And just on that note, also a lover of red lipstick. Actually have got pink on today, but that's my other signature color, red. And, I love that you love a red lipstick. And I think every woman needs to have some type of signature like that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'm generally known for it. Like my team, my old teams and stuff like that would say, you've always got lipstick on. I go and ride my horse with lipstick on. So
yeah, but it's the feeling that it gives us, isn't it? I'm the same. I can't go a day without my lipstick on. So
my mum used to say to me, if I was feeling unwell, put on a bit of blush and a bit of lippy and you'll be okay. And that has kind of stuck with me, so to say.
Stays with you. Yeah, absolutely. My mum always used to say, put your face on. So yeah, that stuck with me.
But let's dig into that, right? Because, times are changing and workplaces are changing and styles changing and emphasis on sustainability, etc., all of those things. So yeah, let's just kick off and tell me about your business and tell me about how you got into this space and your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I started my business up, Sam, 4 years ago. And, like you mentioned, you've worked for fashion brands. My career started in fashion. I loved style. I loved raiding my mother's walk-in wardrobe when I was younger. And I loved, do you know what I loved? I loved the feeling that different clothes would give me. I think I was very aware of how I felt wearing different clothes and what clothes made me feel really good. I loved it as a form of self-expression when I was younger. And so I did end up going and working in the industry in marketing and PR type roles. And I loved being involved in that sort of creative space and surrounded by clothing and fashion. But the marketing PR wasn't necessarily my passion. It didn't really light me up. And as I then went off into the more corporate space and, sort of built my career up into, senior management levels and so forth, I just ended up at a point where I really missed fashion. I wasn't doing something that was really exciting for me. And so I ended up taking a really big career break. Like I quit my job in Australia. I went to South America, and over there I discovered, I guess, that I really wanted to do something again that would have that connection back to style and fashion. And I thought, what could I do? And I knew it wasn't PR. I didn't want to go back into those roles. I was always had quite an entrepreneurial spirit. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm really good at getting dressed. And people compliment me on that. People seek me out for advice in that space. And I thought, I didn't even know really then what sort of careers might exist, but I discovered, that, you could be a stylist, and there was, I ended up studying image consulting, and all the pieces of the puzzle clicked. And I thought, this is absolutely what I want to do. I loved it. And, that led me, I guess, to start my business. And I found that I had a real passion for working with women who were in corporate, because I'd been there and I understand, I guess, how those environments are and just how important style can be to help women when they are in that corporate space, and particularly when they're wanting to move up the career ladder.
Yeah. Because, men in corporate have a bit of a uniform, don't they? They're in a navy suit, they're in maybe a sports jacket, these days they're in a white or a pale blue shirt, or they're in a grey suit. They've got brown shoes on, they've got black shoes on, they might have some colourful socks. Maybe some of them who have got a little bit more, they're a bit more adventurous, kind of pale pink shirt or something like that. Talk to me then about women in corporate and what that looks like. And because I was, in preparation for this interview, I was sort of reflecting on looking at some corporate websites, looking at some women and what they were wearing, and just talk me through your views or what you see.
The landscape has changed.
Yeah.
It has dramatically changed really since COVID. So we still have a lot of people working in hybrid work environments. So they're wanting, what I've found is traditionally a lot of women in corporate would have had, these are my professional corporate clothes, and then these are my kind of casual weekend clothes. That has really started to merge and blend together now, because we do have a lot of women still doing 2 or 3 days, at home, plus they're going into the office. And a lot of those office environments are still more casual than they were before COVID.
Yeah.
Whether or not that is going to change over the next few years, no one knows. But they're, even in the really traditional corporate spaces, they're a level down from what they are, what they were previously. The way that I'm, I guess, guiding a lot of my clients today, about dressing in corporate, is that there is some more self-expression available, which is great. So that really then comes down to understanding, well, what's still going to be appropriate in that kind of environment, and how do you want to show up? So, you want to be appropriate in a corporate environment. You definitely kind of, want to fit in, but you also want to be dressing for how you want to be seen, and perhaps the next level that you want to go to. You don't necessarily need to follow the crowd. It's okay to stand out, in those sorts of environments as well.
Yeah, I've always heard dress for the job that you want, not the job that you've got. I've always liked style, and I've always liked self-expression. I think some days I may have got it wrong. I've always been aware of in a corporate environment, and so this delves into how corporates are changing, or different types of businesses, not showing cleavage, not showing legs too high, upskirts, etc. They're not being anything there to sexualize the outfit, so to speak.
Or distract. We don't want to distract.
That's probably a better.
We don't want to distract from our message. I always say the clothing is really there to support you, and we want people to be able to focus on what you are saying and the message that you want to send. And the clothing shouldn't be, it's there as a supporting act for you.
Yeah. And then in terms of, do you think so I've heard from women that I know that they've been labelled as too glamorous. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a tricky line, isn't it? What sort of industry was that in, Sam?
Oh, it's for board roles, really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tricky line it's a tricky line to walk, because I think, unfortunately, we still live in a world where it's still really common for women to be judged on their appearances, and you're either not dressed up enough or not glamorous enough. If you don't wear makeup, you'll be unfortunately negatively judged. At the other end of the spectrum, wear too much or look too glamorous, and then it can also be judged in a negative way. I think that we have to be, as I said, appropriate but true to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all we can do. And if there's, you never, I just feel that if there's some aspect of it that is really inappropriate or making people feel uncomfortable in a workspace, yeah, that needs to be addressed. But we also need to be able to have some agency over how we look. And as I said, as long as it is appropriate for the environment.
Yeah, and I think that's really true, isn't it, right? It's based on the industry and based on the type of organization or the type of, and having a look at their website, having a look at what people, I know that it is always that line. You don't want to be overdressed. You don't want to be underdressed. And
yeah,
the
better
ability
to be overdressed, better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed always, I think.
That's a good rule.
Yeah.
And then, if you are someone, and we talked about this briefly before we started, that you'd worked with someone recently who had decided, you know what, I can't express myself the way that I want to at this organization and dress the way that I'd like to. And so maybe this is not the place for me.
Exactly. She was a lady who had a really creative side to her. And the organization was very, very traditional corporate. So, there was a limit, I guess, to how much creativity she could express through her clothing. And she felt stifled. She actually felt stifled wearing, sort of suits and traditional sort of corporate wear. And she knew that environment wasn't right for her. And sometimes clothing can give us amazing insights into types of workplaces, truly just based on, because there's a huge link between what we wear and our personality. And there's a huge link between our personalities and the types of roles and careers and businesses that we go into.
That's really interesting. Talk to me about that a little bit more. So yeah, your personality and what you wear. Let's dig into that.
I think this is one of the parts where women get stuck with style. I see this time and time and time again. Style is not just a surface level pursuit. It goes deeper than that. And the women that you see with really great style, they have an innate knowledge, not just of what suits their body shape and, their coloring. You can actually see that what they're wearing expresses who they are. And that is what style is. It is a way for you to express who you are. And so other people get an insight into who you are as well, your character traits. And often what I find is, and I hadn't done this really either before I sort of got into, styling and image consulting. It is allowing ourselves to explore who we are and go a bit deeper into who we are, and then figuring out what are the clothing that is going to reflect that and feel really true for us. And I sort of walk women through a process in order to be able to do that, because that is what guides you to the right pieces. It's really easy to get wrapped up in, I don't know, someone's wearing this, or, this is coming out in the stores now. Oh, you've got to have this fashion trend. And, we're in a real consumerism world. That's the world we're living in. You have so many clothes coming out now. And this is where you can easily get derailed. But if you have done that work and you actually understand, this is my personal style, this is the style that feels good for me, resonates with my personality, that then becomes a really, really strong way for you to be able to kind of make decisions based around that, about what you want to buy. And as I said, often when I work with women, that is a key missing ingredient that they haven't quite figured out yet. It's like, what is my personal style? How do I translate who I am into clothing?
Okay. Yeah. Look, I like that. Shall we try it out on me? This is a bit off the cuff, right? So if I was a client,
yeah,
how would we do this?
So So first off, I work with, there's 6 archetypes that I work with.
Yep.
And so those archetypes are based on psychological traits. And so you would, say to me, well, what do you think are your character traits, Sam? Are you someone who's really logical? Are you someone who's really disciplined? Are you someone perhaps who's very poised, refined, relaxed, friendly, approachable? Because people will fall into, typically there'll be like one, what I would call primary archetype that you'll fall into. And that'll have a big impact on what you feel good wearing.
Right.
And then, and then we're multifaceted. Like none of us are just like one kind of personality. There's other aspects to us. So normally what I find is people will typically have a primary, and then they'll have some accents. They'll have 2 or 3 accents. And the accents are the part where we get to have some fun and play around with. We get to showcase that through accessories or fun design elements. And, you can use that to express different moods or have a think about what's the environment and the audience I'm going into. Okay, well, how am I going to, what part of my personality am I going to play up today for that? Or so it's really, really deep. It's actually a really deep, incredibly eye-opening process for most people to go through this. And it just gives you so much clarity, incredible amount of clarity, and just a way of looking at yourself and clothing that you probably haven't thought of before.
Yeah. I mean, it's making me go, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've thought of that before.
Yeah. Well, it's like, why are we drawn to certain clothes? And why do others we just go, oh, that is not me? Because most women will have experience of that.
Yeah.
And so why? Well, that's because one resonates with your personality and something else doesn't. So we want to find everything we want to find the pieces we can fill your wardrobe with everything that resonates and everything that would feel connected to you and that you would feel excited by.
Yeah. And look, we've all got those things in our wardrobe that we loved wearing at some point in time, and we've hung on to it and we don't wear it, but we love that piece, or maybe it doesn't fit right, or those types of things as well. Or we
evolve. Don't we?
Yes, that's a good point. It doesn't look good anymore.
We evolve. It doesn't fit who we are as a person anymore.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've always thought about it as, oh, it doesn't fit. Maybe it's like a bit too short now, but it doesn't fit who we are now.
That's it. It doesn't fit who we are now. And, I have a bit of a treasure box of really, really special pieces that I've bought that really did mean something to me. They were, special. I might have also spent quite a lot of money on them, but they don't fit who I am now. But I keep them in a little treasure box. I don't keep a lot of them, but I keep those really special pieces. A lot of women, what happens is we tend to just hang on to pieces. We keep them hanging in the wardrobe. We actually do need to remove them. Like we do need to take them out, and it's okay to keep a couple of special ones aside. But our wardrobe has to be a space that reflects who we are today.
That's great. I like that. Who we are today. Because you do change. A job that you did 5 years ago is not the job. I mean, I think a lot of people have thrown out clothing over COVID because, high heels as well, right? So, I think everyone struggled to wear heels again after COVID and, wearing flat shoes for a couple of years. And then going, okay, well, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person who wears heels anymore.
And then it's figuring out who is the person I am today.
Yeah.
And what do I want to wear? And
I've struggled more recently with, I've turned 51 and, I used to love heels. I love nothing better than a pair of skinny jeans, and skinny jeans aren't fashionable anymore either. Skinny jeans, a jacket, and a pair of heels. But I just can't, my knees just can't do it anymore. So then it's like, well, if that's not what I'm wearing, what am I now wearing? Or what
Yeah.
does the shoe look like? I'll still do a boot because I do still like a bit of a heel and I can get around in a boot, but I've had to sort of, or I could do a wedge, but they're just not that comfortable anymore. Whereas I could, go to the clubs and spend all night in a pair of heels.
That's getting older though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we kind of just have to go, we have to figure out, well, what does that look like for me now? Like, what are some of the options? And, I've got a lot of clients who are not doing, big sort of heels for the office, but they're quite happy to do a block heel, something that's got a little bit more support. Or there's some really beautiful, flat shoes out, which still do give you, a bit of height, something with a bit of a platform or something with, a brogue that's got, a small 1 centimeter heel or something. So it's just about being open to explore other options and be willing to kind of change and embrace that change.
Talk about dressing at home then. So if you're, working in a corporate, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I've got a lot of clients where we are, as I said, like building a wardrobe with pieces that allows them to dress it down a little bit more casually when they're at home, but dress it up when they go into the office. So you want versatile pieces, right? So, instead of doing like the traditional, two-piece suit, you might just do smart separates.
Yeah.
And then you've got the option to dress those down at home. When you're at home, I still very, very much believe in still dressing more relaxed in a comfortable way, but in a way that puts you in a frame of mind to work. Because that's what clothing does. It actually helps to put you in the right frame of mind and absolutely increase your mood. So I really do still believe in dressing to a certain standard, even when you're at home. But yeah, being able to just have really versatile pieces. And Sam, what you've got on today is a really good example. You've got on a tee that's underneath a blazer. So, that can be great for at home. And when you go into the office, you'll whip a blouse on underneath. It's something a little bit smarter. So it's just about being able to have those pieces, as I said, that are easy to dress up and down. They're not too stuffy corporate, and they're nothing too like super, super relaxed. You want to find that nice midpoint between those.
Yeah, and it can also depend on what you're doing in your job on that day, right? So, if you're presenting to the board, then you might be wearing the blouse. If you're out in stores, for example, you might be in the t-shirt because it's the company t-shirt, and you might be in jeans that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's often the purpose of, or if you're going to a factory, for example, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for people that are like, struggle with their style or just have no idea, what do you recommend for them?
So if you're struggling with your style, what I have realized and what I've discovered, Sam, through myself, through my own journey, but also working with hundreds of women now, is you actually need a framework for style. You need a system. You need a system. There's, what a lot of people don't realize is, and again, like when you look at someone who's really well dressed, there is an air, there's a level of self-awareness. There's an understanding of, these are my colors, this is my body shape, and these are the silhouettes who that flatter it, and this is my style personality. And so I actually built a framework. I built a framework to help women understand the different parts of their style and help them understand themselves at a deeper level. So if you're struggling with your style, a great place to start is with your personality. That can give you some really, really good insights. I have an assessment if anyone wants to take that assessment. That's a really great place to start. But
can they find that on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, there's a style assessment there to do. And it'll just give you a really great insight into what your primary archetype is. How do you align that with the professional image, that you're wanting to send? And then how do you kind of build your wardrobe around that? Because as I said, that's often the missing component. It's a good place to start if you're really struggling. The other thing I guess I want to say if you're struggling with your style is to just, style can be learned. Yeah, it actually can be learned. You know, I was really lucky to grow up with a stylish mother. She loved clothes. I had a bit of a knack for it too. But if you don't have that, or you have struggled up to this point, just please know it can absolutely be learned. It's a really fascinating journey to go on to, because you're actually, what you're doing is you are exploring yourself and creating a deeper connection with who you are.
Yeah, and I think like accessories are your friend, aren't they too, really? So
Best friend.
Yeah, you can dress things up, dress things down,
change outfits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It can really change the look.
Put on a pair of earrings, put on a bracelet, put on a necklace. Was it the lady, there was a lady like, you should always take one thing off before you head out from an accessories point of view. Like sometimes you can put too much on.
It's true. Chanel said that. Like, yeah,
yes,
you definitely can put too much on. I find most women don't do enough.
Right. Yep. Good point.
And they need to, and even if you're more, let's say, classic, and you sort of like more understated jewelry, you still need to have generally some jewelry to kind of bring an outfit together and make it look complete. Otherwise they can tend to just look a bit unfinished. And accessories, you can have a lot of fun with accessories.
So key takeaways for me are dress for the environment, figure out what your archetype is or what your style is, your personality.
Yeah.
Review your wardrobe. If you're not wearing things, keep them if you love them. Get rid of them if you don't. Yeah.
100%.
A good base. I think we've all heard like a good base, and then some mixes of color, and then obviously work out what looks good on you for your body type.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. I always say, you want to have your wardrobe built around two things. So foundation pieces, core basic pieces, blazers, pants, so forth, and then bring in your personality pieces or your accent type pieces. And you need a good mix of both. Yeah, to actually build a really versatile wardrobe, you do need both of those elements.
Love it. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Lucy?
Yep, stylerisers.com. Or if you've listened to this podcast, come and find me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content on LinkedIn as well as Instagram, but you can come and find me on any of those platforms. Send me a connect on LinkedIn mentioning this podcast. I'd be very happy to connect with you. Or you can also find me on Instagram as well.
And don't be afraid to experiment. At the end of the day, you can get it wrong. And what's it matter, really?
100%. 100%. And don't be afraid also to, sometimes when things don't feel right, or maybe we make a purchase and we go, oh, that just didn't work out. Learn from it. Why? Yeah. What didn't you like about it? And let that guide you to the next outfit you put together or the next thing that you purchase. And that will help you become a much more thoughtful and considered shopper.
Funny story before we finish up. I bought a chocolate brown suit when I was younger. I bought the skirt and the trousers to match. It was from Saba or somewhere like that. It was quite a nice suit. I bought like a cherry sort of red shirt to wear under it, right? I never got a job in that suit. every time I went for an interview it was jinxed. The suit was jinxed. I got rid of the suit. I mean, I had other things to wear underneath it, etc. But I stopped wearing it to interviews. And one of the things that I learned as well was, if you're doing a lot of interviews and going for a lot of jobs, pick an outfit that you feel comfortable in, that you look good in, that you like, that's suited for the industry, and just wear that for interviews. Or have, if you're going to do a couple of interviews, pick those 2 or 3 outfits, and then you don't have to think about it every time you go, for a job interview, you're going, that's the outfit. That's what I'm going to wear.
Yeah, 100%. Take away all the decision making and stress. I totally agree. It's a great point, Sam.
Love it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Lucy.
Thanks, Sam.